Warning: this podcast may contain strong language, sensitive topics, and plenty of laugh out loud moments. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Thrivin With DVIBZ. Wow, D, this one is gonna be big.
Are you ready to dig deep?
I feel like it. I feel like the power for this episode already. It's like we're talking today about the journey to self, which is like also the journey of self and how it relates to cannabis and how it relates to our lives. And we are going deep on this one.
As if we haven't already, but you know.
Yeah, but I feel like really like everyone's getting out their shovels and it's time. But we're going to do it as we always do it, with a little bit of lightheartedness. We're not going to take it too seriously.
Well, we're taking it seriously, but I think we just approach it with joy in our hearts and you know, like with a lighter approach to it, because this is just life we're talking about. This is just reality, right? And our opinions. And so, yeah, you know, a sense of humor really helps in this life, I'm telling you. So
I don't know. I think that for me, like it's essential. Like in my family, growing up, my dad's side, the Irish side, humor was used all the time in very difficult moments.
Yeah.
And in really hard, like grief and pain and suffering, humor emerges. And so it's like quite wonderful to dance in that conversation, even though of course, we're talking about important things, but yet we don't have to take them with as much weight as maybe we were kind of taught to. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, and I think that's very true. And I also think that you know, the journey to explore your own inner landscape and the journey to face yourself can be really overwhelming. It can feel like I don't know. Sometimes I've felt in the past that I was gonna like shatter into a million pieces if I, you know, dared to like really look at myself. But you know, do you know who Iyanla Vanzant is?
No.
She's a coach, and she has a saying that I really like, because I love quotes because they're short and sweet, and they're easy for me to remember with my bad memory. She says, "You cannot fix what you cannot face. You cannot fix what you cannot face." And I just find that to be one of those like truths of life.
Yeah.
Those facts.
Yeah.
Hashtag facts, right?
Facts of life.
Yeah.
You were around the 80s. That was a great show.
Yeah, that was a great show. So I feel like, you know, for me, that is very true. Is one of my truisms. I cannot fix what I cannot face. If I'm in denial, if I'm you know, refusing to be aware, because I can be like that and have been like that, right? I just don't want to see it. Because once I see it, then I might know it. And once I know it, then I might have to be responsible for it.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. We were talking about just before we came on mic, and what was obvious to both of us is that it is such a challenging, difficult, like almost like impossible thing to take that first step to saying like, okay, whatever happens outside of me, whatever I've been through, I'm going to take responsibility for my journey from here on out. And that for me was very challenging to get to. And it took me many years of resistance and denial. And like, I will find someone other than me to give this responsibility to, because I don't know how to do it myself. And so eventually I just had to be like, all right, here we go. And forever on, whether good, bad, or ugly, it's on me. And not to say that the world can't be unfair or unjust. Of course it is. Of course it is. But I'm still responsible to weave through it on my own. Yeah. In my own way.
Yeah, you know, for me, I feel like part of that victimization that can happen in life, right, made me feel like it was just so much easier to blame my behavior and my thoughts and my feelings on other people, places, and things, and circumstances.
course,
right?
yeah.
Like, like that's easy. I'm a bitch because, I was abused when I was little, or, one of the things is I don't often call myself a patient, even though I have a debilitating, illness. But I don't like to say that because when I was first sick for the first couple of years, my whole life revolved around that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt like I got lost in it. It was just everything in my life had to do centered around my illness and how to, deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just felt a little bit shortchanged, and I wanted to be more than my illness.
Mm.
And I also wanted to be more than my story, more than my history,
Mm.
you know? So I don't know if you ever feel like that, but
Yeah.
that was a big realization. It was something that I didn't know I wanted until I had that awareness and could name it for what it was,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And in this discussion that we're talking about this journey of and to self, um, it's kind of a bit of both, I think,
Yeah.
right? Because first of all, it is all about us, right? So
Mm-hmm.
all you narcissists,
Exactly. This is going to be your favorite topic because we're talking about
it's all about you.
you. It's all about us, but you get it.
So yeah, like, and I just feel that we're kind of taught and we learn in our lives that it's all about what happens outside of us,
Mm.
right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like whether or not we choose the right profession or have
Mm.
the right career or make the
Mm-hmm.
right money or
Mm-hmm.
join the right club or marry the right person or have relationships with the right people.
Have the right number of children.
Yeah, play the right games like golf or poker or what, depending on, whatever. Have the right children, look the right way, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, I have sought those things. Some I have accomplished, I guess, to some degree. And I never once felt that they did anything more than bring me fleeting moments of satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I will say happiness. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say that those things didn't bring me some amount of joy, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, a couple things was one, I couldn't really feel it deep down inside.
Mm.
It just seemed to like get to about, here,
Mm.
the input, and then it just like stopped.
Mm.
And so I think in another video we talk about, I share a story with you about a motorcycle and about how I couldn't express my joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, those external things, they can certainly contribute
Mm-hmm.
to my happiness,
Mm-hmm.
but my happiness doesn't lie within those things.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, it took me a while to understand that because, again, that's not what we're taught. And so we chase, things, peoples and things,
People, places, and things. Yeah.
and experiences,
Yeah.
and we
Mm-hmm.
chase these things trying to find what like satisfies our soul.
Mm. Say that again.
We chase
Satisfies.
these things that satisfy our soul.
Mm.
So this is about the journey of self, right? Because I came to this conclusion, like many people do, that it wasn't, no matter what I changed on the outside, it didn't truly change me.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these things that are important to me, like healing and wellness and joy and all these things, they begin in me, within me, not there, here. And so that realization can be really profound for some people. It certainly was for me when I realized, like, holy shit, if I want things to change in my life,
Mm.
I have to do it.
Nobody else is coming.
No matter how much I pay them, they're not doing it.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
And so I don't know, for me, that was an incredibly profound and scary and bittersweet realization, because with empowerment comes a lot of things like fear and you know, yeah, just like, wow, you know, do I have the courage to do this? And like someone said to me once, oh, don't worry about it. The only thing you have to change is everything. I'm like, what? And I saw it as a job. I saw it as a chore. It was something I had to like attack or whatever.
Yeah.
And so the one thing that became very apparent very quickly after I consciously chose to do that, I just felt like, oh my God, at that point I felt so desperate that if you told me to stand in a bucket of shit on my head,
yeah,
and that would make me feel better inside, I would have done it because I was desperate. So, what about you? Do you have that moment of realizing? I think of that as the moment I consciously stepped upon my path.
Yeah.
And embraced that. How about you? Did you have a moment like
I
that?
feel like I had a few different moments along the way, you know.
Well, tell us about at least one of them.
Yeah, no, I think that the most sort of impactful and relevant one was the last one. And that was when I was going through this like kind of crisis in my life where I was shedding all my possessions and like home and just everything, golf clubs, like just everything. Just not, I didn't know what to do with anything anymore. And I was starting to feel like, you know, I wasn't quite, I wasn't living this life that I really wanted to taste and to feel. And it was kind of killing me inside, because every time I thought I would get close to what I would think I would want, much in the same way you're talking about, it would be so very surface, and the joy would just be like over, you know, oh, I got a new job, made this money, you know, went out, had fun at this thing or whatever, but it would just be so fleeting. And I never felt like I was building or going anywhere. And, you know, and I just had this moment where I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, go on my own path, like break away from other people's norms for how I want to live my life, and just fucking live it the way that I want to live it. And so there was this moment of like, well, what if you starve? This is the negative self-talk. Like, if you give up everything, what if you starve? What if you starve? Right? Do anyone else have voices like that when you're about to do something brave?
Mine don't sound quite like that.
Sure. You know, and so that was like and the voice, interestingly enough, it was a maternal voice from my dad's side again, which was like this fear of like, if you give up the job, the security, like literally what we have, it's like we've been starving back here, and like, you know, don't take that for granted that we didn't have food. So there was that like ancestral thing that said, what if you starve? And I realized in that moment, I was like, I would rather starve and try my best to live under my own 2 feet, and that's it, than live by somebody else's rule, live by somebody else's paycheck, be tied to somebody else's, you know, interests. And so I just did it, and didn't look back at that point. But there was a number of times leading up to that, many, you know, over many years, before I was able to finally be like, fuck it, I'm doing it.
Yeah, these big life decisions and big life choices, and you know, like they're just part of our experience, but we're so unprepared. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
totally.
That's why I spoke again, like we were talking about, like not having this guidebook, right? But anyways, so I feel like that realization of knowing that, you know, it was up to me. My life was up to me. Was really, for me, it makes me think of my father. And I was the youngest of 3 girls, and I feel like the son he never had. And so he taught me how to play snooker and billiards when I was very young. And he used to say all kinds of stuff to me. And, you know, he was a very good role model for what he spoke to me about, which was really about I think of him as a lemonade maker. You know, no matter the situation, he could always find like the bright spot, the silver lining, the, you know, whatever, right? Because he really valued his life and his freedom. And he would always tell me, like, you know, don't let your life just be like a B grade movie that you're just observing and watching happen in front of you. You know, you are the main character. This is your show.
Yeah.
And like, you get in there and you play your part and you do your, you know, send your script wherever it's going to go, right? Work with whatever you got to work with, and, you know, make it your own. Right? So that, I'm so grateful to have had somebody in my life that was a role model like that, that shared that kind of wisdom with me, because it's so easy to just, you know, look for guidance and, you know, do what society decides at any particular time is the right thing for you. Or, you know,
oh my God. And they have so many opinions. Society is always there. Hey, you're this age, you're 16. Okay, this is what we expect of you. Hey, you're 20, 25. This is what they expect of you. And everyone has a freaking opinion. No answers, though, just opinions.
Yeah. So here we are, left alone with our own devices, our own selves, right? You know, it's like, I think for a lot of people, especially people that turn to cannabis, right? I think for a lot of people, that relationship with self has been damaged. And so, you know, for whatever reason, there's like a disconnect, and maybe even more importantly, not a disconnect, but it's kind of like the relationship with self is like an abusive relationship, or like a super unhealthy relationship.
Totally.
Right?
A lot of people, I feel this resonating with a lot of people right now. A lot of people are like, man, if I talk to other people, like I talk to myself, I would get beat up, because like that's not how you treat a human being. Yet we're so willing to like say such horrible, horrible things to ourselves.
I used to do in one of my little brick and mortar places called Sacred Space. That was like my first kind of shop. And I used to do a workshop in there called If Your Body Could Talk. And so what it was we utilized guided meditation, cannabis, and it was basically how we would examine that self-talk around certain areas. And then I would ask the person to treat me as themselves and to speak those words aloud to me. This was not easy a lot of times for a lot of people. Because, you know, ultimately in our lives, it's like me, in Danielle's life, it's like me, myself, and I. Right? Because, you know, I come into this world alone. I'm leaving this world hopefully alone. You know, I'm not taking a bunch of people with me.
It's going to get dark in 3, 2, 1. Who's coming with me? I'm just kidding.
So, and, you know, at nighttime or whenever I'm resting and I close my eyes and I'm there behind my eyeballs, it's just me. It's just me, myself, and I. And I wanted to be like, one of the things that motivated me to step consciously onto my path was that I wasn't super happy with that person. You know, I didn't like being by myself a lot of times. I mean, I say I'm a loner by nature, which was very true when I was young, because I just was always trying to hide from like everything. And then, but I'm not talking about physically alone, right? I'm talking about being at peace. Peace of mind, you might say. Peace with the internal, like the essence of D, who I am inside, knowing all my secrets, knowing all my skeletons, knowing all my attitudes and judgments and whatever, just the real deal. And the thing about it is, a lot of people are afraid to do that. It's very scary. But the thing is, if we don't do it, we have to start with the truth.
Yeah.
We have to start with our truth.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it feels like that to do that, you might, shatter into a million gazillion pieces,
Yeah.
you're not going to. That's a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And feelings aren't facts.
Mm-hmm.
They're good indicators of how we're approaching, how we're processing stuff.
Yeah, like how your body is experiencing reality. They are bang on for that.
Yeah, but they aren't facts. And so part of what I feel is important in self-healing and self-help and personal growth is to make a commitment to yourself that you will just remain willing. Just remain willing.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. And the rewards are unfathomable, like in my mind, because you have to be where you are. You can have like geographical cures, you can like move to other places, you can like have change partners, you can do all this thing, but everywhere you go, there you are.
Yeah.
And you can't escape that. Not for any sustainable and realistic time, right?
Yep. As the great philosopher, the Far Side said, you can't keep running away.
Was that in Far Side?
The Far Side.
The Far Side.
Yes.
Is that the comic book?
No,
Oh,
it's
okay.
a hip hop.
Oh, Lordy, I don't even know this.
Guy, maybe.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, late 90s, I'm thinking. But yeah, there's the idea of like, you can't keep running away from yourself. Brother Bob Marley says the same thing. You can't keep running away from yourself. And I think that for some people and for all of us, it's an initiation that unfortunately we're not really taught. We have to just experience it. And there's a less traumatic way to learn this lesson, but it involves a community that supports and loves you. And not everybody has that. And not everybody has like the right wisdom around them. So a lot of us have to just kind of figure it out. And since that's where we're at, it's okay because we're all in the same boat of like not knowing and then, oh shit, like I can actually do something and I can feel alive within myself and I can be by myself and I can be my own best friend. I don't have to like wait for other people to come and support me. I can say, I can encourage myself. I can tell myself, hey, good job. Now get up and do it again.
Yeah, because listen, another of life's truisms, according to D, is that
according to D, we gotta get a little musical.
We could make a hashtag of that. But honestly, what was that? What was that thought that just fleetingly flew away?
I think I found it over here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What was it?
Well, it was just like a question about cannabis and kind of like bringing it down to like the people's level a little bit. If someone's like, what are these two people talking about? I want to give it like some real like basic things here, what we're talking about. So to you,
go
like,
for it.
Especially with cannabis, right? For me, the journey to self and really why cannabis is important for me in that journey is that there's two reasons. One, it started to quiet down a lot of the other voices of doubt and negative self-talk.
Noise.
So I was able to actually listen to what I really wanted. And to like, it was like, I eventually learned that I had to make friends with all these voices because they were part of me. They were just unhealed or whatever part of me that needed to express themselves, because it's important to have a balance between the dark and the light. We're all dark, we're all light, So this journey was, so helpful with cannabis because it quieted those voices. And at the same time, cannabis gave me the energy and the motivation to continue to challenge myself to be real and truthful. And it had a little bit of a stick element to it, because if I wasn't being truthful and I was using cannabis and I was kind of falling out of my alignment, it would bring it up to me in sometimes unpleasant ways of like, you need to face the truth now. Like it wouldn't let me get away with just kind of pushing things aside. So it was helpful in both of those ways for me to understand who I am and what I'm about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's really deep. I love it. Yeah. That's really important to understand that if we are disassociated from ourselves, how can we be our own ally?
Mm,
How can we help ourselves?
mm,
So for a lot of people, I think, definitely for myself, uh, I'm one of those people who I'm like super lazy, super lazy. I like to flounce around. I like to just like chill. But there's things that I like as well that require me to do certain things,
right.
right? And for me, it was important that my journey, this necessary part, foundational part that I needed to get together on, was not just like give me some issues for my tissues, or oh, this is gonna be dark work. This is gonna be, oh my god, I'm gonna be depressed for the next year or so, whatever. Like
Mhm,
that was my attitude, kind of going into it,
mm,
right or wrong, and I think it was pretty wrong, but it was what it was, and it needed to be joyful. It needed to be fun
yeah.
in order for me to sustain my
Yes.
desire and my
Mm,
motivation to
mm,
pursue it.
yeah.
And I feel like what you said as well, like I call it sometimes like that buffer,
Mm,
just to be able to process things without those sharp edges, because it
mhm.
softens the blow, kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Cannabis
Exactly.
softens the blow. But also, like, it needed to be enjoyable, and I think cannabis brought that joy. I feel
Mhm,
like Mary Jane carries within her joy.
mm, mhm. Well, we've been talking about that
Yeah,
on multiple episodes now,
yeah.
just like how important joy is in, we talked about it in the wellness video, how important joy is to carry us on this journey. It's like difficult. It's not always easy. So we need
Yeah.
to have these things, these tools that bring joy and bring us back to ourselves.
Hmm.
I'm curious to know what is like if someone's like, yeah, maybe, but what do I do? How do I do this? Like people are like, what do I do? Is there a ceremony? Like, how does one do this if you don't know what this is?
Well, I'm sure there's like a multitude of ways to do it. I'm a big fan of the way that I was taught, which was, to start off for that, realize that self awareness.
Mm,
And like I said, I kind of went into it begrudgingly.
hmm
I had an experience and it left me, it was a very profound experience, and it left me wondering whether or not it was just like a drug induced flashback.
mm,
In those days when I was quite young, I was like, anything, give me anything, preferably cannabis, but like, I'll take what I can get, and I would try different things. I've always been like a bit of a curious George, and I want to understand from my own experience, which is not always lacking information. It's not always the safest approach,
mm.
but whatever. Thank goodness I'm still here today.
Ooh, burner is hot. Now I know.
So I had this experience, and I wasn't sure whether it was legitimately, it was either like a flashback that I was having, or it was legitimately like an experience that could not be explained from my own way of explaining things, something
Mm.
bigger than myself. You know what I mean? A spiritual experience. Let's just say it.
Supernatural,
Woo!
supernatural experiences.
So anyhow, I'm really, really grateful and was very blessed to be around people that suggested to me that it could be either.
Mm,
And guess what? I get to choose.
mm,
So for me, that was, well, if I just chalked it up to like a drug-induced flashback, um, then like no biggie, carry on.
right.
Carry on, D. Carry on with what you're doing, how you're doing, whatever. But if I did want to choose to believe, that it was some kind of divine experience and I wanted to use it to motivate my change, then I could choose that too.
Yeah.
And either one could be true for me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Hmm.
I don't know, like, how about you? How about you? Did you have it? Do you remember when you consciously set foot on your path and what might have motivated that?
I think that there was a lot of I think that I stepped out on my path before I accepted that that's what it was.
Mm.
And because I realized like pretty early on, like in my mid-20s, I was like, oof, don't like this work game. I don't know what this carnival is that they want us to dance into, but I do not think this is in my best interest. I'm giving way more than I'm getting, and I recognize that at a very young age. And of course, I was the company and the people would be like, "Oh, you're just young. You don't know any better. Shut up. Like we don't pay you to we don't pay you to like criticize our policies and our procedures." I'm like, I'm not criticizing. I'm just trying to make them better. So they weren't too keen on that, but it was a great opportunity for me to start traveling. So for me, I feel like most at home when I'm traveling. And so the path for me was a literal one in a lot of ways. And I started really young, but I mean, I think the biggest one where I really left home and I started traveling and I felt I was on my path. Now, again, I kept running back home in different ways. Home, literally, over the years. My dad called me the boomerang for a while. Oh, there he is. He's back. So it wasn't a full on, I'm out of here. But what I looking back, I realized that time when I left high school and I went to the South America for a year and I like didn't go to university right away, didn't follow that like traditional thing. It created some space and it made me realize like, okay, my life's going to be a little bit different than other people's. I don't know how, but this was an awakening I had in a jungle, facing my fears and having to face my own darkness and my own self and realize what I was made of. And I was like, oh, okay, I've got some work to do, but I respect myself. I trust that I can handle myself, if shit goes wrong.
Wow. Yeah, well, travel is something that we share in common. It's just got so much in common with Mary Jane, and the two of them together is little something I like to call canna tourism. They are a wonderful way to explore physically. It's just so good for us to broaden our perspective. In fact, I think we're going to do like a whole episode on travel.
Yeah, at least I think we might start a new travel channel. So I don't even know where this is going, but it's in there.
That could be exciting.
Travel is in our blood.
Yeah. But I want to go back to something like you were talking about that person who says like, where do I start?
Yeah.
See, I didn't forget.
Nope. That's the
I
thing.
love it.
It's all circular, man. It all keeps coming back. Time is a flat circle.
The way I see it, if it's important enough, it'll come back. That's the way I look at things. So I wanted to share with you a little bit about what happened after I chose to believe that experience might not be just a flashback. So I didn't even know where to start. I was completely an atheist at that point and sort of moving into agnosticism, right? There might be something, but I don't know what the hell it is,
right. Don't call it God. Call it something else, will you?
Well, I had a lot of religious abuse when I was younger. And so like I had to become an atheist just to maintain my sanity and yeah. So
I think everyone becomes an atheist for a little while, at least. To me, it was like a phase too. I went through it, but I think it's like a critical thing when you can look, you see religion, you see how much it's harmed people. It's like a natural thing to be like, I don't know about any of that, and so we have to like relearn it in some ways.
Atheism's tough though, because sidebar, it's like life isn't black and white. And so atheism to say like there is nothing,
right?
You know what I mean, is like kind of black and white to me, but it's a safe place to be. And agnosticism is more like, thinking, well, there might be something. I don't necessarily know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. I feel funny when I have when there's a sunset inside. I don't know what that feeling is.
Yeah. Yeah, that feeling of connect. Yeah, okay. Anyways, that's probably a whole other episode too. We have so many things we want to talk about and share with you. But just to carry on with this topic about the journey to self, of journey of self. So, anyways, after that happened, that experience happened, and then I decided, well, I don't really have anything to lose. I can have all my pain and suffering and misery and bad choices and, crappy thinking and all kinds of, I can have all that back, but I can also try something. And if it doesn't work for me, then I can go back to how I was, because I'm, quite comfortable there.
Right.
And so I don't know how it happened, but I was given the number of this lady who was like an intuitive reader. And she utilized tarot cards in her readings. So it was the first time I kind of saw a set of tarot cards. And okay, so I'm going to try to give you a sense of my attitude at the time, okay? So we make an appointment and I go there. And she invites me to sit down and asks me if I'd like a cup of tea. And I'm like, no, let's just get this over with. We've got like an hour or something. Like, let's get on with it. And so she started like, she just looked at me and like kind of went, okay. You have to remember, I was like in my super early 20s now, and I like got, I got all kinds of attitude still pouring off.
Sure.
And so she started pulling the cards, and she's like quiet, and she's, looking at the cards, and I'm looking at them. Oh, they're pretty. I'm an artist. I love color. I love visuals, right? I'm looking at, oh, they're pretty. Oh, maybe I could get a set of those to play with,
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, she starts talking to me about stuff, and I'm like, I felt really kind of uncomfortable. Like I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck are these cards telling her?
Right.
Like, are they dishing all my business? Right? It made me feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Right. So you thought she was bang on the money.
Well, she was talking, and I was like, I still had plausible deniability.
Right.
Okay. It was nothing too serious.
Okay.
But then she stopped looking at the cards, and she looked directly at me, and she said, she started to talk about something that had to do with meditation. And she said to me, you have been meditating your whole life. You are very deep. Meditation really works for you. It's your saving grace. It's your, greatest asset, you could say. And I'm thinking, what? However, truthfully, ever since I was a baby and was in a jolly jumper, if you don't know what those are, they're like a kid's baby swing that bounces and stuff like that and swings. My mom had one for me, and ever since I left the jolly jumper, I've always had a habit of rocking. So I would rock back and forth. And I used to get a lot of shit from my mother for it. She said, "Oh, don't do that in front of people. They'll think you're, retarded." That's the wording they would have used back in the 70s. Okay. And
it was a cold, dark place, kids.
And
there was no feelings yet. Feelings were invented in the 80s.
Yeah. And so I could spend hours, and when things got too much, or once I started smoking pot, I would have like a couple tokes, and I would go, that was my safe space. But I could never talk about it or do it in front of people because it was so shame-based. And so this woman telling me this, like nobody, not anybody, even my husband at the time knew about this. Yes, I was married in that time and already had children. But nobody knew this about me. Like I was always hidden. I always did it in a place where, and in fact, this is the first time I've ever spoken publicly about it.
Wow.
Ever shared it with someone. But I tell you that because when she started talking about that, that hit me hard. It hit me hard. And in that moment that she told me that, she said to me, this is nothing to be ashamed of. This is a gift. And it completely changed how I'd seen this thing that I did for my whole life. In a moment's notice, it went from something being like really bad to something being really beautiful.
Wow.
And the emotional reaction I had to that just like clutched me. It just like my heart was in my throat, and I was just like, you know? So she said to me, I was a wreck. Like, I was just like, it was so surreal. I just had such an emotional reaction. And she said to me, you know, when you go home, I said, I don't know. She said, you need to embrace your work, embrace your path, embrace your journey to self. That's what she said. And she said to me, I'm going to give you an exercise to do. She said, when you go home, I want you to, at some point, go into the bathroom where you're private, lock the door. And she said, I want you to look into the mirror. It's my first exposure to mirror work. But she told me to go and look in the mirror. And don't just look at my face like I would if I was putting makeup on, but to look into my eyes, to look at myself in my eyes. And with as much seriousness that I could muster, tell myself I love myself and say my name first. Direct it to me. And I'm like, what? What? Doing this stupid shit.
So would you
and then
say,
she finished, then she finished and said, depending on how long you laugh afterwards, we'll tell you how much work you need to do. So I get home. Okay, sorry, you were going to say something.
No, I was just saying, like, I wanted to know, like, what do you say? What did you say? Like, I didn't quite understand the phrase. What was the phrase that she asked you to say?
She wanted me to look in my own eyes, in all seriousness, and tell myself that I love myself.
So you would say how would you say it, like, out loud?
Well, I'm going to tell you.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm waiting for.
It's coming.
All right.
Okay, so I get home, I leave there, and I'm like all kind of shook up, right? Because I had this huge emotional reaction. And I'm still thinking about stuff before that. I'm not even thinking about that, right? Because by the time she's telling me this, I'm like a zombie. I got to get out of here, right? Oh my God, you know. I'm on my way home. I get home and I start the self-talk, right? That's such a stupid thing. That's such a stupid thing. I'm not fucking doing that. I'm not doing that. I don't need to do that. And then I started talking to myself like, well, if you don't need to do that, then why are you so worked up about it? Like, it shouldn't be a big deal, right? You should just go do it, and then like carry on with your life.
Right.
So I remember sitting at my kitchen table and having a couple puffs, and I still smoked in my house back then. But I had a couple puffs, and I thought to myself, yeah, I could do this. Like, it's such a silly thing. It's such a simple thing. It's no big deal. And so picked my butt up, and I went into my little bathroom, my little downstairs powder room kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, I can do this. And first of all, I can't even remember the last time I looked at myself in the eye. So that took me a couple seconds. Like, that was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I put my mascara on all the time, but I'm just looking at what I'm doing. I'm not like I'm looking at my face. I'm not looking at myself in my little peepers. And like all this big preparation, it was quite the production. But finally I looked at myself and I said, Danielle, I really love you. And I meant to come out sounding silly and kind of sarcastic, but it didn't. It came out meaningful. It came out real, and it shook me. And it was such, it shook me so much, just like that, a reaction I had to her when she told me
Yeah.
about my habit, my meditation habit.
Mm.
It shook me so much that I started to laugh.
Mm.
And I started to laugh hysterically.
Yeah.
And then I started to cry.
Yeah. Mm.
Because I realized, whew, this is going to be a long road.
Right.
But the good news is it's not a long road. Or if it is a long road, thank goodness, because that means we live long.
Yes.
Because it's a lifetime journey. It's not a destination. So the best advice I could give to someone who was starting out and saying, how do I start this? Is just like when we go on a journey, right? We pack what we need, right? And then we make first we make the decision to go, then we pack what we need, and then we just embark on our journey.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what this is like. And if you want to try that exercise, I would love for you to try that. Or if you do that already, let us know in the comments about what that's like for you. And I do it all the time. Every time I pass a mirror, I'm like, if I don't say it out loud, I say it inside, because I actually do love myself. So it's just a confirmation of how I feel now. But these tools, like the ones we're going to share with you over these episodes, plus there's many more, like, oh my goodness. And we're going to continue to explore them, ones we know, ones we don't know. Because we can never have enough tools, right? Because we change as we grow. Our needs become different, and whether we grow from inside, or whether we grow in age, like we age, we're always changing, and that's, I think, the way it should be. I don't think we should be stagnant. Okay, I know all of this and that's it. I don't want to know anymore, or I do this and I'm not doing nothing else, because when we close ourselves off, we rob ourselves of the opportunity to grow. So that's my introduction to mirror work, and that's a easy little thing to do and kind of fun. And have you ever done any mirror work?
I have. Yeah, it's freaking terrifying. It's at first and weird and awkward as hell, because we're not used to having relationships with ourselves. I think a lot of us grew up in different families or cultures where really, like, the self was was a bad thing. Like, you're not supposed to be bold. You're not supposed to be sticking your head out there and just kind of being nosy, or being in business. That's not really just stay where you are. Don't try to ask too many questions and all of that kind of bullshit. So now when we grow up, we have to learn how to be okay with the fact that we have a self and it has needs. And I love what you were saying about how it keeps growing. And also, I wanted to add to that is that everyone could have their own version of the epiphany that you had. It doesn't have to be a specific way. In fact, the whole point of it is that it's your way. So whatever you feel called to do, it might be something silly, it might be something profound, it might be something that you have never thought of, it might be something that you thought of your whole life. And everybody has a different moment or series of moments where they get to claim themselves and be like, all right, whatever else is going on in the world, I don't know, I can't deal with everything, I can't control everything, but I can at least have some ownership over how I respond to life as it comes at me. And I can create some space and some freedom and some power, because that I'm not putting any responsibility on somebody else. It's all me. And at the same time, we, of course, doesn't mean we live in isolation.
Of course not.
But it's everyone in a community doing their part, and everyone trusts the other person. Oh yeah, for sure. I know, D, I trust you 100%. If I wake up in the morning, I know you're out here doing your parts, right? And you know that I'm out there doing my part, and that's two people, and we can keep spreading that. But it all has to be at the core individuals who are it's on me. I got this. It is not going to be easy. I'm going to need help and support, but I got this.
Yeah, a couple things I wanted to add to that. One was that was only the first of many epiphanies, I'm glad to say. So that's what I'm trying to reiterate. The point that I'm making is that this is a journey that we're on, right? This is not, we're not going to arrive, but the thing is, it's a joyful journey. It can be. It can be a truly joyful, fun, fascinating journey. And so I just believe, the second part of that is I just believe that everything begins with us. And the more we give to ourselves, the more love, compassion, all of these things, kindness, gentleness, all these things, the easier it just spills out, because it's abundant, and it just spills out, and it goes out to others and to our communities and hopefully our world in many ways. So, I know that we are not alone. We are not the only ones that are like consciously pursuing our growth and development. There's lots of you out there too, doing it your own way, practicing your own canotherapy. And that's what we want to invite you to share in our comments, in our Facebook group, whichever way is most comfortable for you. Maybe you'll even get to come to a live event. But but the thing is,
live events. Yep.
And the most important thing here, two things that I want to leave on this podcast is you deserve to live the best life that you can. And I am so excited that we're here to encourage you and support you, whatever that looks like for you. Because the most important thing you need to know is that you're not alone. We're all out here just trying to find our way on this crazy little planet. And, and thank God we have a tool of Mary Jane. We've got Mary Jane to embrace us and help us as we, struggle with the challenges that come, because no matter how good things are, there's always something lurking around the corner, and vice versa. In the worst of times, there's always something good. And so, we're really grateful that you're hanging out with us, and I hope you're enjoying these episodes, these videos. And it's just, I have to say, last thing I'm going to say from my own perspective, it's such a joy to be here with Nick. We met about 4 years ago, and we met, what do you call it, online? Like we met through virtually?
Yeah.
On
virtually. On Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter for
life. We just let that relationship blossom organically, and found out that we had a lot in common, and began working together. And we've had, in my opinion, an amazing relationship, both professional and personal. And I'm, first of all, super grateful to have such a great role model for men to be close to share with and see, because there's a lot of issues about gender. There's a lot, we sometimes use it as a shield, but and to make us different. But the thing is, what we're talking about in canotherapy affects all of us. And to have someone that is of another gender, that is a close friend, for perspective and for information and opinion and feedback is incredibly valuable to me. And lastly, the fact that we are here in the same place together to be able to record these for you is a blessing, an unbelievable blessing. So that's what I wanted to say. So I hope you'll stick with us. What do you want to leave them with?
Oh man.
Sorry, I didn't mean to carry on.
No, I just, I feel love. Thank you for that. And I don't really have much more to add. This is an opportunity that we have thought about and worked, and really given time to develop as an idea. And it's all about our interactions with each other and our interactions with you, the audience. And we want to know what you're about. We want to hear from you. And one of the things that we live our lives by is that any moment can be a transformative moment. Any moment can be a learning moment. So we don't have to create these kind of like sharp divides between work and play and like rest. It's like all these things have their time, and we can connect with them all at the same time. And that's, I think, part of what we're here to talk about as well.
Yeah. Equilibrium.
So yeah, I think that's it. Let's wrap it up.
It was great. See you next time.
See you next time, everybody. Peace.